Well, talk about a show that changes tones at the end of the season, and we're not even done with the season yet. Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is my review for Finding Carter, Season 1, Episode 10, Love Story, and oh my god, guys, this episode was hard to process. It really was. I mean, this episode it's definitely gonna be hard to process, and I can't wait for the next episode. Definitely, they have made the show so much more intense now. When they said that the tone of the show was gonna change after this episode, I'm like, it can't change that much. I mean, the Fosters said that, and it didn't change that much. Finding Carter, however, is a much more thriller kind of show, and officially Finding Carter is a thriller, and this episode was just so well done. The way it was done was amazing. This was by far the best acting I've seen from every single one of these actors. Just the best acting I've seen on any episode of Finding Carter. This is by far the best acting. Now I can't remember who plays Carter. This was by far Catherine Prescott's best performance. This was by far Cynthia Watros' best performance. This is by far Anna Jacoby Heron's best performance. Like, everyone was just amazing in this episode. Everyone was fucking amazing. Seriously, this episode was just amazing. So, for the first, I'd say, 20 minutes of the episode. And by the way, this episode was the perfect way to get us ready for that season finale, which I know is going to be hell of intensity now. So the first, I'd say, 20 minutes of this episode dealt with Carter and Crash basically on the run. If you remember at the end of last week's episode, they were in a car, driving, and they basically run away together. So it seems like Crash is driving another stolen car as they drive, and Carter tells him that she would like to go away to somewhere she's unknown to anyone and her story. She doesn't want anyone to know about where they're going. So it turns out they're actually not going to see Lori. They're running away together. Now, I sort of thought this because I know she wants closure with Lori. At this point, though, she does not know that the whole, case is over. She doesn't realize that. So at this point, she's thinking, I don't want anyone to find us. I'm in risk of, being, in trouble here. So I don't want to get in trouble. So instead, we're just gonna run away together, basically. And we're gonna go somewhere else. So basically, as they drive, Crash recommends heading out west, and so the two of them can see the tourist spots like the Grand Canyon and Mount Rushmore and all that kind of stuff. And he then shows a very sensitive side, bringing up that he would like to see where Carter grew up. He really does care about Carter. He really does seem to care about her. And in this episode, I mean, really, Crash was a very different person in this episode, I gotta say. As much as I have liked Crash's character, after this episode, I do not like Crash, so I'm going to talk about why. So, basically, we'll talk about that in a second. He then, Carter's unknown location had taken a very deep toll on Elizabeth. We saw at the end of last week's episode, she had that look on her face. Elizabeth has basically become back to, she is now obsessed with finding Carter. She is now obsessed with finding where Carter went. She is obsessed with it now. She's basically back to her old ways, and I think that's really cool that they did that they made her back to her old ways, because we never really got to see Elizabeth hunting for Carter, hunting for her daughter, and we got to see it in this episode, and I thought that was very well done, in my opinion. So it's taking a very deep toll on Liz, and it becomes a lot more evident. She takes her frustration out on David, and she's yelling at him. But their confrontation takes a softer side as the feelings between the two seem to rekindle lightly again. So, meanwhile, Taylor and Grant, they're on the phone. They're begging Carter to come home. And, Taylor's telling her, oh, the case and everything is over. And Carter says that she's fitting in more with her family with the exception of Elizabeth. And on her cell phone, she sees that Elizabeth put out an Elizabeth ends up coming into the room, basically, and, she's talking, and they end up talking. But then here's where things just got crazy, because Elizabeth ended up putting out an Amber Alert for both her and Crash, and basically she made Crash seem like a criminal, like he kidnapped her. And obviously everyone's upset. David, Taylor, Grant, they're all upset. I understand why they're upset, because it's like, okay, Crash is not a criminal. This was Carter's choice, Elizabeth is making it seem like he didn't give Carter a choice, that he basically forced her to run away with him. And that's not true at all. He did not force her. That is bullshit. He did not force her to run away with, he did not force her to run away with him. She just decided to. That was what she decided to do. So Elizabeth is making it seem like it's the other way around. So I thought that was not right what Elizabeth did at all. Definitely that was, very big. Definitely it was very big. And that's when I knew this episode was going to be extremely intense. Because Carter and Crash are getting to this argument. And Crash reveals that he thinks they may be better off without each other. He's really upset. And Carter's questioning his statement, and he takes back what he said, telling her they need each other. And the two decide, so basically, Carter does not know what to do with this Amber Alert going off. She does not want Crash to go to the police, because he is a hidden criminal, and remember, Elizabeth said if he does anything again, he's going to jail, and he's never coming, basically, he's going to be in jail for his life. And Carter did tell him that he could get in trouble for this because she's a minor. So what he decides to do is, he decides that they smash her phone so the GPS tracker will stop revealing their location. So they break into this empty house, and so that was just like, holy shit, like, that was the moment when I'm like, okay, Crash is going way too far right now. The moment that happened, I'm like, okay, Crash is going way too far right now. I understand he really wants to protect Carter, but he is going way too far. So then they break into this empty house, and it's revealed that it is where Carter grew up. This is where Carter grew up, and I thought that was definitely very interesting. And I was kind of like, where are they going? And that's where Carter grew up. So Crash actually learned some details of Carter's childhood life. She recalls memories and possessions from her past. Very good scene, in my opinion. I thought that was definitely a very good scene. I really enjoyed that scene very much. Thought that scene was very well done. And on the wall, Carter actually finds these numbers, this code that Lori made, and she copies it down. So basically what she thinks is that because of the Amber Alert, they might have actually found Lori, because she still wants to find Lori, obviously. She wants to make amends with her. She wants to, she wants to, get closure with her. So she's thinking that she might, this code might find Lori, basically. She might be able to find Lori this way. So I thought that was definitely very interesting. So she copies it down, and the next morning, they are forced to rush out. This other guy, like, bangs on the door. He's like, come out, I'm going to kick you out and everything, and all this shit's gonna happen to you. And that was just, like, really intense when that happened. By the way, from here on out, it's pretty much just Crash and Carter. There's, like, one other scene with Taylor and Max, and Taylor and Max, that was really it. So basically, they then agreed to leave a message with Lori via Max. She wants Max to give Lori a message because Max is the only one that's really seen Lori. So, Carter thought it'd be a good idea and everything. Crash doesn't really seem to, Crash seems to like the idea, but you can kind of tell that Crash is not really happy with this. He is not happy with this as much as he wants to be, and I think he's a little bit jealous of her and Max, definitely. He's very jealous of them. Really, he has a right to be jealous of them. I understand why, but what he did is not right at all. Basically, they're going to head to California, and basically a major problem with leading a fugitive life is financial issues, and Crash and Carter run into just that, because basically we find out that Crash purchased a gun with what was left of his money, and the second they did that, I was just like, holy shit, this is going to get extremely intense now. Because the moment where he got that gun, they said in this episode that someone was going to die. Then, something big was going to happen. Someone was going to get shot. And the anticipation for that was so high in this episode. The way they did that from this scene out, the anticipation was just so high. And the moment that Crash got that gun, I was thinking, is someone going to shoot Crash? Because I was thinking, maybe Crash doesn't shoot anyone. Maybe someone shoots Crash. So, basically what ends up happening is, in the meantime, the family is very upset about Carter running away. Taylor and Grant are starting to recall that Elizabeth is going back to her old ways of searching for Carter, and Taylor's not really happy about this, at all. They're not happy at all, and, so yeah, they're not happy about that very much. They're very, very upset. So yeah, pretty much, Crash and Carter, what ends up happening after this, they go over to this convenience store. So yeah, they go over to this convenience store, and the moment that Carter went into that convenience store and saw Max, I'm like, shit is about to hit the fan, because we kept seeing Crash outside of his car. When Carter goes in to visit Max, basically he told him to relay a message to her mom and for some burner phones. Max feels it's evident in their conversation. He essentially begs Carter to come back to our family. You know, he's saying, look, you got a lot of people here who care about you, and you need to realize that. But despite his attempts, Carter says, still says she can't stay, and, Crash, you can see him in his car. He's just the rage and Crash is he just getting so impatient here. And he was really, Crash was creepy in this scene. I mean, seriously, Crash honestly was just, Crash is seriously just really messed up in this episode. My opinion of Crash completely changed in this episode. I liked Crash till this episode. I understand he wants to be a good, boyfriend to her and everything, but he went way too far with what he decides to do. So, basically, he's clearly frustrated by the conversation they're having at that gas station, and, basically, after this, of course, he eventually gets out of the car, and the second he got out of the car, I'm like, oh shit, something bad is about to happen. He goes into the convenience store, and he tries to stage a robbery, and he's like to Max, give me all the cash in the cashier, and obviously Max isn't gonna do it, and, Max is like, get out of my store. The second he does that, Crash pulls a gun and shoots Max. And I was just like to myself, holy fucking shit, this show is now extremely intense, and the second that happened, I mean, here's the thing. It seems like Crash cares, but the look on his face, he doesn't seem to show any sort of remorse at all. He doesn't seem to care. It's just like, alright, I shot someone, who cares? It only seems like he's acting like he cares because of Carter. I honestly don't think Crash cares about Carter. After this episode, I do not think Crash cares about Carter. I think he is using Carter because to get away from, the police. I don't know. I really don't know what to say there, but that's the last time we see Crash in this episode. It really is. So that's the last time we see Crash. He shoots Max, and after this, the episode just gets really intense. We start to see a lot of slow motion things. I love that it was done in a slow motion way. It was a lot more effective that way. And basically, the second it went back to commercial, after this, we had, little small scenes, and then it would go to commercial again. And the way this was done was very well done, in my opinion. Basically, the emotion are getting the best of them, and we see this all in slow motion. Carter's calling 911. She's like, please help, my friend was shot, and she's crying hysterically. She's yelling at Crash. Basically, Crash freaks out. She's yelling at Crash. Crash is like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And he ends up leaving. Nothing happens to him. He just, literally just leaves. And, yeah, so he was seen on camera, though. So there is surveillance footage. Definitely, there is surveillance footage. And, that was just huge when that happened. The second that happened, I'm like, oh, shit. Some shit's about to go down on this show, definitely. So after this happens, we see probably one of the most heartbreaking scenes of the episode. I cried in this scene. We see all of them in the waiting room. Taylor is there, Grant's there, David's there, Elizabeth's there, everyone's there, and we see all these, quotes and scenes involving Max. They're intertwined with images of all of them in the waiting room, and they're all very worried what's gonna happen, especially Taylor. You can see the look of just sadness on Taylor's face. I mean, Taylor's about to lose her boyfriend. It's so sad. Taylor, I really felt bad for in this episode. And basically, luckily, though, they do learn that he is in stable condition, but he must go through a risky surgery. So they can't say anything about him till he goes through this risky surgery. And, yeah, so that's basically what's going to happen. And, yeah, so he's going through a surgery and everything. And basically, Elizabeth, in the meantime, is trying to be more motherly towards Carter. And it seems like she's going to stick by Carter's side as, basically detectives are questioning her. We see detectives come out, and they say, we need to speak to your daughter, and they're heavily questioning her, and Carter just can't answer anything. It's too much pressure in her head. She's picturing everything in her head about what happened. I'm wondering if Carter's going to get PTSD because of this. I really feel she's going to. I don't know. I feel like Carter's going to because she witnessed her friend getting shot, and it was just so much for her to process. I mean, think about it. If you were in a convenience store, you're on the run with your boyfriend, you're on the run with someone you care about, they get shot, I mean, I would, be, the person that you thought you cared about just shot the person you care about, shot your best friend, I would be, shocked, definitely. That would be something I would never be able to get out of my head. So, I really feel something's going to happen to Carter. I don't know if she's going to get PTSD or whatever, but definitely something's going to happen to her. So, meanwhile, basically Elizabeth is sticking by Carter's side and everything, and Taylor's freaking out, which is understandable. She, Max is her boyfriend, she cares about him, and she gets mad at Carter, which makes perfect sense in my opinion. I have no issues with Taylor being upset at Carter. She has every reason to be upset at this. Because if you really think about it, Carter caused this. She really did. She caused it. She was the one that decided to run away with the Crash. If this would have never happened, then none of this would have happened. And Taylor just says she isn't sure which is worse, Carter being abducted or Carter coming home. And she says Carter has done nothing but hurt her and everyone around her, and that she will never forgive her for this. Never. She's never going to forgive her. She's just done. She's done with her. She wants nothing to do with her. And it's just like, it's really sad because they were on a very good path. I really like the sisterly relationship between them. And now that's basically gone. That's broken. Because of what's happened to Max, that's basically just broken. It's terrible of what's happened. And basically, she's never going to forgive her for this. And I, again, don't blame Taylor. Taylor has every reason to be upset at Carter for this. Every single reason. Because Carter really just... Carter is the one that caused it. As I said, Carter's really the one that caused this. And Taylor has every right to be upset with her. She really does. So basically, the episode ends with, we see Carter, she's crying in a hospital. And we see scenes showing her relationships with Max and Crash. And Crash goes... And basically, she goes to a chapel and cries. Now, I was thinking we were going to see, like, Lori in the chapel. I don't know why I was thinking that. I was thinking that was going to happen. I kept thinking we were going to see Lori, and that's how this episode was going to end. She then sits next to Taylor, and Taylor pulls one of her hairs out and tells her that's... And basically, she tells Carter that, the hair that she pulled out, that's how close she was to losing Max. And, she's very worried. She doesn't... Because he's in critical condition. He's stable, but he's not all... He's still unconscious and everything, so... They don't know, she doesn't know if she's going to lose him or not, and she's really upset about that. And then the end of the episode is just really big, because David then appears and tells them that the doctors have asked to see them. And that's basically how it ends. So the question is, what is that doctor going to tell them? Is he going to tell them that Max is dead? I like that they left it on a cliffhanger. I really did. I liked it, they didn't end it with, oh, Max is dead, or, oh, Max is alive. I like that they didn't end it like that, because... If they would have done that, I felt it would have been very anticlimactic. Plus, I was seeing the time, and I'm like, it's 10:59. How are you going to resolve all this? They didn't. They didn't resolve all of it. And I thought that was actually very well done that they didn't resolve it. And I'm happy they didn't, because it made for a lot more effective of an episode, definitely. And I thought that was just extremely effective the way that was done. And oh my god, I can't wait for the next episode. I cannot wait. I always said Outlander's my favorite summer show. Finding Carter is officially my favorite summer show. They went so far with this. MTV said this was going to be like one of the most shocking things they've ever done. This is more shocking than Teen Wolf. It really is. This is more shocking than Allison's death. I mean, this is more Allison's death was extremely shocking in my opinion. But I never thought Finding Carter would really go this far. Finding Carter is officially extremely intense now. It's going to be in a completely different show. And we saw in the previews that Carter's going to try to get Crash to turn himself in, possibly. We'll have to see what happens there. I have a couple questions for you guys. Does Taylor have a right to be upset with Carter? Yes, she has all the right to be upset with her. I think she has all the right to be upset with her. Elizabeth, do you feel Elizabeth is now going to be way too clingy to Carter? I feel like now this is going to happen because, she knows Carter's gone through a lot. She's going to try to be there for her daughter. It's kind of too late, though. Again, I mean, Elizabeth all season long has been trying to connect with Carter, and it's just kind of been too late all season. So she's really been too late with that. My other thing is, does Crash really care about Carter, or is he using her to just get away from the law? I feel like that's sort of what's going on as well. I don't know if that's true, but also, is Max going to live, or is he going to die? I don't know. They keep making it seem like he's going to die. I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm not going to say he's going to die. I'm not going to say he's going to live. I'm going to say that we'll have to see. I mean, I'm not going to confirm anything. I thought it was very well done that they killed someone off like that they, not killed someone, but they shot someone, that they did this to Max and made for the show to be a lot more intense. And I'm really looking forward to the next episode. Definitely, it's going to get very intense now. And I'm also wondering, what's going to happen to Carter? I mean, Carter really is going to have major consequences for this, definitely. Is she going to tell the detectives the truth? Because she wants Crash to turn himself in. So is she going to tell him the truth? I'm sure she will, but you never know. And also, do you think Carter's going to possibly get PTSD from this? I feel like she is. I feel like Carter could possibly get PTSD from this. I don't know. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, if I went through a loss like this, I would probably get PTSD from this. But oh my god, this episode was just amazing. I love this episode. By far best episode of the season. The show, just raw emotion. Catherine Prescott gave an amazing performance in this episode. Just wow. Best performance I've seen from her. She really is fantastic in this role. And Finding Carter is officially the best summer show of the year. Don't even listen to my top 10 summer shows. Finding Carter is my #1, by far. It is amazing now, and I can't wait for the next episode. I will be watching Sons of Anarchy live next week, just because it's like an hour, it's like 2.5 hours long next week, so, but I really can't wait for the next episode of Finding Carter. It's going to be amazing, I know that for sure. So that's basically for my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for, I guess it's going to be my review for tomorrow's episode of The Bridge. But again, let me know what you guys saw of this episode. This was a very big, sad episode. I mean, really, this episode, honestly, it made me cry. I'm going to be honest. That scene where they were showing a montage of Max, that really made me cry. What do you guys think is going to be the outcome of Max? I don't know what's going to happen to him. But I'll see you guys in my next video. So yeah, so I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.